Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Belinda here from Visualized NZ. In the monthly masterboard challenge for March, we made these masterboards using our itty bitty scraps or whatever size you feel comfortable with, inking all the edges before we glue them down. So this is the one that I made in the monthly masterboard challenge, and I went on to make two more. So I'm just going to show you the two extras that I made. So I did this one next, which is on an encyclopedia page, and I used ground espresso to edge this one. So this one I did on camera was vintage photo distress ink. This one was ground espresso, so just it's shade darker really. And then the third one I did was also on the map. So this was the bit that I cut off of the map that I did this one on. And this one I edged with navy blue, which was interesting because it made my glue stick go blue and purple. it was really funny. But just to show you the different effect of using a different coloured ink or a different strength of ink. So there are the three masterboards I ended up with. So I think I made these the same day that I did this one. So I just kept going, like turned the camera off, and I thought, well, I've got everything out now. Let's just keep, and a pile of scraps. So I just keep going. And my bin, I've added to it since, but my bin, as you can see, is like now below the level of the top. Unlike what you saw it last time. I've still got a bunch in there. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't eliminate the issue, but I made it more manageable. And my bottle of pens now sits back on top again quite comfortably, and it kind of weights everything down, and I can ignore it until it gets too bad. Right, so let's deal with this masterboard and make some things with it. So we're going to make one type of ephemera today with our masterboard, because I don't know whether you've twigged to the fact or not, and in fact it took me a little while. We have essentially made double-sided paper. Yeah, that's what we've done. By choosing to do a masterboard on something that had pattern on it, we've made double-sided paper. So you can, in essence, use this anywhere that you would want to use double-sided paper. So if you don't have a lot of double-sided paper, like I don't, I have some, but not a lot, you can make your own. And it doesn't have to be scrappy. You could just glue on a full sheet of digital printable or something and onto, for example, a map, and instantly you've got double-sided paper. Just bear in mind the weights. You don't want it too heavy, you don't want it too light. Just like normal scrapbook paper, you choose a weight according to what you want to make with it. Same with this kind of thing. But first off, we need to start chopping it up. So to chop it up, I'm going to use my guillotine, and I think I'm going to go, is it going to fit? Yes, it is, just going to fit. How big do I want to go? I'm just going to go for 4 inches. Just arbitrary. And I'm going to just work with a piece at a time. And how do I want to go in half? How tall is it? Excuse me while I just measure here. It's roughly 8 3/4 inches. So we could go 1 at 4 inches. No, I think I'm going to go 3 1/2. I'll do 1 at 3 1/2. Bear with me, I'll explain in due course. And then we have 5, I don't know what that is, 5 1/4 maybe left. So what, 2 1/2 plus a bit. Let's go 2 3/4. like I said, very arbitrary. And then this last bit is just over 2.5 inches. So that's fine. And so these, obviously the map does have a direction to it. So I'm going to fold it in half. You may want to use a scoring board to make folding easier, because of all the different random bits of paper can make it tricky to fold straight. So I'm going to take my own advice here. Just so I'm not spending too long fiddling around trying to get it to fold where I want it to. Let's just be kind to everybody. So this is 4 inches, so I'm going to score it 2. So they all should be 4 inches, because they were all the same strip. That would make sense that they're all the same, wouldn't it? So, whoops, that was a bit wild. Went completely off track. And the third one at 2 inches also. And feel the crunching of some of the papers as I score it, depending what sort of paper I'm going through. Okay, so now it should be easy to just fold it, and it's not actually quite even. That's all right, we can trim a bit off, or we can just leave it. It's no biggie. So obviously it wasn't exactly 4 inches. Somewhere, somehow, I didn't measure correctly. Oh, I've got a bit of popping up paper. That is quite all right. This is the one that I tried folding, so it's kind of not wanting to find the crease, the score line very well. So just forcing it a bit there. So if you have bits that end up around the spine, it's quite normal for that to happen and they pop up. Just go in with a bit of stronger glue. So I wouldn't use glue stick. I'd just go in with either a tacky glue, PVA, whatever stronger glue that you enjoy using, and just glue it down and she'll be good to go. Okay, so that one I actually ended up folding straight, the two halves matching. This I'm going to just give a wee trim up, because there's no right or wrong. If it doesn't line up the way you want it, just trim it to size and you're fine. This one is a tall, narrow one. Can you guess what we're making yet? I bet you can, because it's not nothing new really. It's just another way to use your masterboards. We're going to make little notebooks, and so I just wanted to demonstrate that you can make them any size, shape that you like. So the other part of the masterboard, we're going to make some different ones, but let's make up these 3 first. So I have a bunch of random scraps here of plainish papers, so of all types. Diary pages, butcher paper, coffee dyed, a scrap of a digital, some more butcher paper that's been painted on, some brown wrapping paper. That actually might be painter's masking paper. It's actually quite hard to tell the difference between the two. Some offcuts of coffee dyed paper there, and some children's sort of scrapbook type paper, grid paper, packing paper, and then a bit of wrapping paper of a different brown. Okay, so let's just take, I can only really do one at a time because they're different sizes. I'm just going to randomly measure, because I want them to be quite scrappy, not all the same size, but making sure they fit within the cover, so leaving a good border around. So that's 1 page. Also thinking about how many pages you want. This has got a little bit of paint along the edge. It was a taken off a scrap of jelly print. That's not straight along that edge, which is fine, but it makes it hard to kind of work out where you want to line it up. So this is page number 2. You can choose how many pages you'd like in your little notebooks. I think at least 3 for mine. This one's got a tear, so as much as I want to make it junky, I don't think I want to include tears, but I quite like this little residue of the perforation on that edge. That's kind of fun. So just tearing sizes approximately. Just all I'm doing is ensuring there's a border right round so that they sit inside the cover. I think I'll go brown, butcher brown, so it's not all, the browns aren't together. Let's fold that in half, making sure you fold it the right way. I need to fold this way, but if I folded it this way, it wouldn't fit. So make sure you fold it the right way. And how's that feeling? I think we could go some more. Another couple maybe. Let's put a bit of this grid paper. I can use the grid to help me tear my lines to line up on. And maybe I'll just put 2 of those in, since that's going to be the right height. And that will be 5 pages. So 5 sheets of paper. So that's what, 5, 10, 15, 20 pages. The whole difference between pages and leaves and signatures and, you know, the whole terminology can sometimes be a little confusing. So that's the right way round. That one in half. And just making sure, yep, got the height the right way round. Fold that way. So we'll put one on the outside. And maybe one on the other side of that second piece of brown paper. Yep, that's feeling good to me now. And because it's so little, we can go in, hopefully, with the stapler. So I want my staples to be on the inside, the sharp bits, shall we say. Oops, make sure we get all the pages in there. Trying to line up my stapler along the crease. And I think 2 staples should be quite sufficient in something of this size, because it's not very heavy. Yeah, there. Give it a fold over and give it a nice burnish there to really seat it in. And we've got a sweet little notebook there. You can tear a page out to use it, or take it somewhere, fill it up with notes, use it for telephone numbers or email addresses, what have you, or even like web addresses. Keep a track of your YouTube people that you like to follow, or stats for something, or the books that you've read. I don't know. Pop it in a journal. It's useful for so many different things, and it's super cute. I don't think I would decorate it up at this stage. 1, because I think it's so cute, and 2, I'd probably wait until I want it for a specific journal, and then decorate it according to that journal, like a little fussy cut or a word or something. You could also round the corners if you like the rounded corner look, which I do. The other thing I would do is take my distress ink and just distress any edges that were cut, because the rest of it's distressed or inked. So I would redo any edges that aren't inked because you've cut them out of the middle of the masterboard. And then maybe along the spine, if you like to do the spine, you can do the spine. I quite like that. I don't do it all the time, but I quite like it. So I'm just going to run some along there. And you can also ink around the inside edge or not. I think I might leave the inside and just do the outside. Preference, whatever you choose is fine. I think I am just going to leave the inside, as I already said. Right, so let's make up these other two. So each one might have a different number of pages. They don't need to have the same number, and it might depend on the size. So just go by feel as to what feels right for that particular little notebook. But I think these are just adorable. And the inside cover, because we did it on the back of some interesting paper, is automatically decorated. You know, it's interesting. It's not boring. It's got something going on. Put a bit of grid paper. And I love measuring things like this, just eyeballing it and tearing. And because we're going inside all the borders, it's very simple and quick to do. Really want to see if I can get some of this painty edge in there, so maybe we'll just go with that crooked edge and just leave it as such. Not about perfection, it's about coolness. Don't you think? It's more about cool, and what pleases the eye and wonky can be pleasing. Definitely can be pleasing. Let's put a bit of this coffee dyed paper in. It's got a little rounded edge on one corner, which is fun. So I'm not trying to make them all the same height or the same width. They're just approximately close. But I don't really care if they're not. Well, it's not that I don't care, I don't mind if they're not. I'm ending up with lots of scraps, so I feel a neutral masterboard kind of coming on. So I'm just going to kind of stack those up and fold them all at once. Getting daring now, aren't I? Rather than folding them individually. So there's 4 pieces of paper in this one. We've gone with one less, and again going to hold it in place, and 2 staples will be sufficient. Oh, am I out of staples? No, this stapler sometimes refuses to work. Oh, I am out of staples. Staples, where are you? Come and say hello. Okay, where are my staples, people? I should have checked my stapler, shouldn't I? But I didn't. Are they in this box, maybe? I thought I'd taken them out and put them in my drawer. I can't see them in there because I thought this was a very impractical place to keep staples. And I think I'm correct. I did do something with them, but what did I do with them? Second drawer down, maybe? Please excuse me while I fossick. Oh no, oh no. Where have I put them? Oh, this is nonsense. This is really nonsense. I'm going to just pop the camera on pause because this may take a while. Well, best laid plans and all that. I am so frustrated. I know I didn't have, I had my staples not that long ago and I cannot find them. I've looked in all the obvious places, I've looked in the not so obvious places, and they are just nowhere. So we're going to plan B. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know, not everybody has a stapler. Well, might not. I'm not going to assume that they do or don't, but so needle and thread. We're just going to do a little 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and I'm using embroidery thread, and I'm not measuring, I'm not poking holes first, I am just winging this and going to aim to not puncture my thumb, and just do a little simple binding here. Just try not to catch my thread on the way through. So here's another option for you, and it is super cute. It's just a bit more time consuming than what I had anticipated on actually doing for this project. But you got to roll with the punches. I expect that my staples have fallen down somewhere. You know, it happens. Some things fell down the back of my drawers because there's a gap at the back of the drawers, and my hubby actually had to unjam it because something had fallen vertically and I couldn't close the drawer completely. And I'm wondering whether the staples had actually fallen through at the same time and thus somewhere in the base of the drawers, somewhere that is very difficult to see and to get to. So I probably am not going to do like the whole masterboard now that we've come up with this issue, because staples really are quicker than this. So I'm not going to have time to do a whole bunch using this method. As you can see, it's more time consuming, which is fine if you're not in a hurry, but I'm conscious I'm recording. But it is a really cute option. And I'm just using embroidery thread. You can use ordinary cotton, but just don't pull it too tightly because cotton will cut your papers more easily given that it's thinner. So which way up does it go? It goes up that way. So like, isn't that cute? Super cute. So we've got one stapled. Luckily I had 2 staples left, otherwise we would have had a half stapled one. So let's do this one, and then I think we'll call it a video, because, you know, I've got plenty to do rather than fuss around with things that I don't really need to right now. Enough to give you what the project is and how to do it, and then let you loose at it. Use your masterboards and create your own cute little notebooks and whatever else you'd like. You don't have to do the whole thing into notebooks, of course, but it is a fabulous mass make. This one I'm going to just use. It's not quite tall, but there's no right or wrong, so let's just use it up, or most of it. Let's grab a bit of this. Let's get those out of the way so they're not shifting, making things difficult, more difficult than what it needs to be. Maybe actually I'll do 2 of this, because it's going to use most of this piece up. So we can just bin this little scrap, and it's downsizing my scrap bags nicely. So how many we've got? We've got 4. Let's do one more. How about out of this? Maybe we'll do this end that hasn't got the fold in it. Ruler doesn't want to slide on this paper because it's got a little bit of a rough texture. It kind of just wanted to hold on to it and go, it's mine, you're not moving it. Right, so I'm going to stagger these. So brown, that one, then our lined piece, and then a bit of brown, Actually, I don't want this. This is the most fragile of the papers. I don't want it in the middle. So let's put it just in there. We'll have the two browns on the outside. So I'm just going to stack them up, fold them in half. Like so. And I did find it a little difficult holding and stabbing and sewing. So I am going to take the time to put some paper clips on just to make life a little bit easier on myself. And it's a nice small piece. That paper clips work really nicely, and somehow I've got that all off kilter. It's a bit not straight. That's better. I must have shifted it somehow while I was talking. Right, so that's going to hold it together, so I don't need to worry about holding it together. Let's grab some thread. The first one I did was blue. Gosh, that's a very long length. We don't need that much. This one's green, just random bits from my bag. It's the bag I reserve for non-specific projects rather than like my cross stitch, where I need them all number per pattern kind of arrangement. I've still got too long a piece, but it's okay. So this is just going to make it a little bit easier that I'm not fighting holding the papers in place. So just eyeballing it, not the way I do a journal, but perfectly adequate for a little notebook. Holding that middle out of the way so I don't catch it. And I go back through, hopefully. That's the goal, is not to catch it. Otherwise you can't tighten it. And then let's try and get on the spine. I think there. Looks good. And through there. Yeah, way too long, but that's okay. And tie it in. It doesn't actually need to be too tight because it is just a little notebook. It's not the end of the world if it's a little bit loosey-goosey. Right, trim the ends a bit. There's that short bit that came off. There we go. Oh no. There, let's just throw that into the trash. Paper clips off. And we've got another sweet upside down little notebook. Just full of little bits of paper to write on. So I'm going to call that a day. We made 3 out of the little Masterboard. All very, very cute. Awesome to pop into a journal. And I've still got this part of the Masterboard left. So I did envisage that we would do the whole thing up into little notebooks, but since my staples are currently missing in action, I'm going to save us all the stress and time and angst of me going, grrr, I can't find my staples. So next time I go out to the shops, I'm going to buy myself another box, and I bet when I bring it home, I'll find my box that should be around here somewhere. That's the way it works, isn't it? Anyway, that's the project with the Masterboard. I hope you enjoy it. I hope that you make yourself up some little notebooks, even if you just tuck them into your handbag for your own little note-taking purposes while you're out and about. They're just a little bit long. They're hanging outside, and I don't want them to, so trim them up. I'm distracting myself. Okay, time to say goodbye. Have a great day, my friends. Catch you again soon.